Hello, we're here to do the energy for the week before and during this week with both Mercury retrograde and the new moon in Aquarius. And I wanted to do one yesterday, but as I said, I had my infusion. I was having my upgrade. I was having a lot of psychic downloads, but I had to also have a bit of downtime to let the iron infusion go in, as well as absorb all these energies. Now, sometimes when I am talking to spiritual friends, you know, we tend to get a download as spiritual mediums and we get things coming through. Sometimes, yes, we can look at astrological aspects, and this is, as I mentioned, a very personal transit. It is during the Mercury retrograde that we are having this new moon. So it's very much an intuitive energy hunch, and I'm really being guided back to way back when we had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. Now, some of those circumstances during the week have been playing out, and we've been revisiting our energy of employment, our energy of family, connections, and lineage. I'm seeing a lot of lineage energy. Now, because Aquarius collectively does fall in the technical 11th house placement of our hopes, dreams, and aspirations, it's also very Pisces in nature too. When I say Pisces, it's going to take those themes on due to the fact that the energy of Aquarius both links to Uranus and Saturn. Now, I will be flicking over in a moment and having a look at the charts on the new moon. And it's because it's during Mercury retrograde, and as Shelley says, because it's after a void, there's certain moons to make intentions on, and there's certain energies not to. It's like, wait, more information coming in. It's not something that's going to happen right away, and it can feel slightly, what would I say the word would be, painful. Taurus energies it's a bit like building a pyramid. I'm trying to create comfort in my life. I'm trying to create stability in my life. This is both emotional, spiritual, psychological, and Aquarius is tribe. So we may be finding circumstances in our life that need to be shifted about, and intuitively we've been guided to. And I will go through the chart in a moment, zodiac by zodiac, to give you a heads up, which I did do before. But you will need to wait. It's like wait, because it's a bit like, okay, you're in the courtroom and you're waiting on the information and you're about to make a judgment based on emptiness, based on a missing link and fact that's about to come to you, which is the blessing. And sometimes you don't actually need to, especially if you've had a soul upgrade. You need to allow that process to happen, which is good. It's like, okay, let's just clear the deck. Let's just move through a detox. Now, Uranus energy can link to the crown chakra. We've had a lot of third eye activation. That was both due to the fact that Mercury relates to third eye and throat chakra, but also that full moon in Leo at the end of January was really kicking off this month. And it moved us through to this point of this Aquarian age energy. I'm doing a lot better, Dale, gradually getting there. So with the movements moving forward, it's funny, this card was the first one that jumped out, and it's like taking a critical eye. It's the energy of Leo, and it was where we came from. So that was the island we were at the full moon in Leo. And depending on what zodiac sign you were, having to end something psychologically, emotionally, or 3D. Moving into this Aquarius cycle, we've got so many planets at the moment in Aquarius, but there's so many squares. So even if you wanted to do something, you're going to find resistance. We do need to face our shadow. The reason I say shadow is because there's good and there's bad in a shadow. Knowing our shadow is important, but it can be, okay, because I'm scared, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z. That's a different energy. That's something that we can actually challenge and work through. But very separately, there are circumstances at the moment that are squaring, which makes it deeply difficult to take that movement. Now, because next month we're moving into the Chinese New Year, which is a metal ox year, which I do need to do a video on it separately, but it is going to be about working very hard. So with all the paradigms and the experiences that you're having at the moment, you won't be assessing one thing in your life. We have so many energies, as I mentioned. You look at the houses in your own astrology, and we have so many houses sitting currently in Aquarius. We have Venus currently sitting in Aquarius. We have Mercury in Aquarius. We have Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So I've pulled a ruin, and I'm going to continue to have a chat to you guys about these things. So at the moment, it does feel a lot of thoughts, emotions, feelings, blockages, but the blockages can be where we've been enabling things. There also could be a projection of viewpoints coming through, which was really coming through during the month, because we can at times feel that we need to go against the grain and it may not be accepted in tribe. It also may be trying to work with tribe energies. It could be at work, it could be with family, you know, trying to get these things done, especially during a Mercury retrograde. If you're working on media, for instance, you know, tapping in and tuning into what the collective needs, looking at it differently and assessing those needs, and also through spiritual healers, depending on the industry you work in, looking at creative ways we can address that and both be the student and the teacher at the same time, but still be humble enough to actually move that shit forward without attachment. And it's also... you will find that there is an inkling in your personal life at the moment where you're wanting to change it, but you may not have the energy just yet because there is still recovery due to the fact there's too much adversity. You know, the squares are like, okay, my intuition's telling me to do this. You're going to do it. And then the door's closing. There's something that many of us are going to have to let go of that doesn't resonate with us anymore, that does need to change and shift about, but it can potentially be something sudden that happens, or it can be a sudden download, but it's going to take some time. It's going to be, you know, uncomfortable. Now, a lot of us are protecting ourselves. We're trying to choose healthier ways for the tumble line to be able to keep our secrets close to our chest, but be in our truth, to be away from other people's personal energy, even though we may be needing them. And that's especially in spiritual paths. Many people... you know, looking at your side of the fence and doing mirror work, it's almost like where we're seeking outside of ourselves is where we're needing inside. So, you know, doing that shadow work, we do have Juno that will be for feminines in Sagittarius. We're looking, you'll have a lot of feminines liberating and doing different ways and coming back into the media, doing things very differently and being leaders in their own rights without the codependent fixation on a masculine. And masculines will be going through deep transformations, but both energies in the yin and yang will be doing that throughout the year. And it's really that deep need to protect yourself. And what is that? What is a healthy boundary? A healthy boundary is you're observing something and you're within your power choosing what you can and can't do, what you will and won't do. But it doesn't define you. It's not a one-sided transaction. It is very much, okay, that person hasn't done what I like them doing. Okay, how do I relate to that? What can I do? Do I continue dancing that dance at this point? No, or don't I? Okay. Hi, Big Casino. So psychic protection. Now, it can be to do with Scorpio energy because, you know, the energy of psychic energy is Scorpio. We also have Capricorn. We've got Pluto in Capricorn, which is very Scorpionic in nature. It's also very 8th house placement. It's like in order to have these deep things, you know, can we open up? Can we trust that change doesn't mean something terrible? Many times we think it does, but Uranus in Taurus is going to show us, thanks, Stel, that these changes may, in our ego at the first point, make us feel very frightened, very uncertain, and that we know better. But again, Gaia Source knows best, and they're trying to show how every facet of life does have change, but we can trust that process. It doesn't have to be something terrible. And it can create solutions through this. So, for instance, if you're having issues at work and you're feeling it doesn't resonate with you, that soul walking and that transformation happening will start giving you messages. And it's about not looking at the circumstance that the glass ceiling is immovable. It's a viewpoint where you stand, it may be, but what you can do to look outside the box. And that's where astrology is really great, especially in your birth chart. There are certain houses that can show you to move beyond that. And there's also with the nodes in your chart, it can show you where you have spiritual blockages and where you need to move towards that north node in your life to get the best out of it. So at the moment, I feel a lot of you can be really protective. This is a very personal transit, not wanting to let people in because there could be a lot of pain body experiences. And it's like you're just going through the waves of those feelings. And yes, we could be very needy on people accidentally because we're feeling abandonment, the victim consciousness, unmotivated with the sacral chakra. And again, the third eye can have blockages at the moment, and you are more inclined to have psychic attacks. And I'll explain the reason why. Mercury is third eye and throat chakra. When it's clouded and blocked, your mind is overactive, okay? Because more's coming towards you. It's difficult in concentrating. Hi, Stefan. So when you're trying to go to sleep, if you have kept too busy, because we're very 3D at the moment, you're going to find it's going to be very difficult to sleep. So you will be more inclined to have psychic attacks. So Tumbaline. You can also make sure that when you're sleeping, your feet aren't facing a door, an open door. If your bedroom is positioned where your feet lying in the bed is facing a mirror, that won't work either. Your psychic portal is through your feet. And in the old days, it's how we would take, the passed over out of a room. It was feet first. So it's definitely something that we need to be mindful of the positioning of the room, which I did do a video on it, and I will start doing the creative content based on psychic development, how to work with energy, and things to that degree. So number one, clear your space. Try not to set intentions right now. Just pay attention to the vibration in the house, but also about your thoughts that are coming up. If you need to, journal. See what's coming through. Don't have too much attachment at the moment in a sense of setting intentions, because you're still moving through that transformative state, and it can feel like a soul walking. So at times you can feel quite numb. You can feel very foreign, very afraid, but you know it's inevitable, but you don't know how it's going to come about. And it's about trusting that. Protect yourself. I also feel a lot more clarity is coming through with clear quartz on the table. So the clarity you're going to get, and it makes sense because the ruin that we have is in reverse. So we're assessing the past, we're assessing the future. Some of us may have been in a feeling of distortion. And when I say distortion, it doesn't have to be that, what would I say? How do I explain it? Disillusionment due to being very tunnel visioned. It's like, from my experience, X, Y, and Z in the past always equaled this. And so that's the way it's only going to be. And yes, sometimes that is so, but if you've changed and allowing, giving it to universe and going, okay, well, I can see this clearly isn't going to work forever. Please, give me a solution to this and detach from it like it's your job. You find, there you go. Victim consciousness, fear-based frequency. How do I explain it? It's going to be different than what it was before. That's all I can say. But all of us collectively, and even those of you that do move into twin flame paths, you will still have work. So for those of us that have been in twin flame paths and in the connections, they still work and we still have our upgrades. They're just different things that probably haven't had a lot of content on YouTube to describe, which I'll try and go into. And it depends on that channel of the soul healing that they do, where you're at and the way you work with those individuals. Now, with this ruin, let's get into this energy. Okay. Odin, which is very Saturn in nature. Gaia source. Raven, which is Scorpio. It's deaths, endings, and new beginnings. 8th house placement. Mercury. Currently, we have Mercury. Yes, there is an ending relating to the way we think, act, speak, and move in our life with group energies, with our hopes and dreams and aspirations, with the way we grow. All of those areas are changing at a collective level, and it can feel frightening. We're facing our shadow, which I was talking to Giggle the other day about it, and it's like looking at time slots and soul journeys. We're at a time where we're in co-creative energy, and that was very Cancer Capricorn. We were learning about tribe. First wavers, for those of you very separate to just this moon energy, in soul connections, i.e. twin flame, you are brought in for the first wavers to break down the paradigms of connections. So it can be very challenging. Sometimes your family members won't resonate with you. Sometimes they won't understand. They'll find you rebellious. Some of you are the empaths of the connection. That was really coming through, and all that energy was being cleared out and moved about from 2012, moving to the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. Now, with the moon phases transiting through that, it brought those circumstances up this week. And as we move into this situation, we're facing the energy of endings. What does that mean? Fair-based frequency. Uranus and Taurus can bring sudden endings. And so when we don't have that in our control, Taurus builds, okay? And the intent really with the Aquarian energy is very Uranian in energy. It's like we're trying to get something that is physically stable, that is able to change without codependency, but is still solid. Saturn. Does that make sense? So this relates to Raven, higher knowledge, occult knowledge, psychic downloads, intuition, Mercury, same thing. Wednesday, energy, air, Aquarius. We have Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Now, because we're only tuning into the past as a paradigm, it's becoming problematic. It's in reverse, but it is shifting. All of the yucky stuff we've seen, experienced, felt, yes, no's, left, rights, we've been going through that since October. It's been leading us to this point. I do feel at a karmic level, if we're being forced or feeling like something is inevitable, that it's going to shift and change and it needs to be addressed, if you can address it, do it. If you can't, moon cycles, you have the new, you have the old. Shelley and I were talking about this, but there's also from an astrology point of view, at a karmic level, it can be 6 to 18 months. Now, because we have Saturn and Aquarius, all this energy this year is going to be pretty similar of themes of change. We're feeling that hunch. Universe is giving us an opportunity to assess this now. And yes, through the transits of the squares with Uranus and Taurus, it will bring it back up again. If we've been guided to shift something, but we need more time, we will have 18 months. And it can be with a few circumstances or one in particular. And it can be something to do with career. It can be, they're different in all of our charts. Whatever this is, it's going to force us to change, but we're going to grow into wanting it to change. So, let's get into it. So the reversal. Delusions, misunderstandings, lies, intellectual stagnation. Some of the way we were relating to things, maybe there was a lack of information. It might have been in your career, or it might have been our belief sets, our mindsets is shifting and changing. The collective awakening. But we're focusing on that at the moment, and we could be in the lower energy. Now, some of you could be. This is what we need to understand. As human beings, not just twin flames, human beings, we are all psychic in nature. We are interconnected and we're a vibration. So an example fact would be walking into a room and being an empath and being able to gauge the energy. When you gauge the energy, you'll always know if something's yuck because you'll have this nervous energy that comes up in your stomach and it won't feel nice. So gauging the energy, you're an empath, and the stronger and the more you build on that, the higher your intuitive energy is, and the more you learn to trust that change is always happening. It's just when we're 2-3D, we don't notice these things, but this is a very huge shift. So it's very frightening. So some of us are moving back into that fear-based frequency, feeling we need to be overprotective. Is the same going to happen? Detach, detach, detach. Advice, communication, contemplation, inspiration, authority, Saturn. Traditions, blessings, verbal skills. It's where we need to speak about these things. It's where we need to think about how we're speaking, how we're showing up, how we're reacting, looking at traditions, again, conditioning. I have to do this because this is what I've been taught, and value systems can hugely be coming up right now. Now, this in the esoteric meaning, Heidel, is initiation, scarred knowledge, divine inspiration. This transit is showing you what the reality of that circumstance is and how it's supposed to change. So we'll get some cards. I think a lot of you are trying to move away from conflict. Some of you might be avoiding something. Some of you feel that, you don't want to make the wrong decision. You don't want to make the wrong decision. And there's never really a wrong decision, but there can be themes coming up. And I need to find my chart because I'm going to go and give you a mini read after this. I don't know where I put it. I know it's on the table here somewhere. There it is. Bear with me. Okay, drop things that you don't need. Live light. I do feel the theme of As the moon was transiting through Capricorn and such, I do feel that we were needing to drop burdens and things. I do feel the need, if you have this urgency all of a sudden that you're wanting to claim and get organized, it's also something that will provide success. Because if you're super busy, you need to simplify life. It's getting things down to basics, simplifying. I do feel a lot of you are shifting circumstances around. It's like, what is worth my energy putting into it? Masculine, feminine, both energies. In work, in your 3D world, from your spiritual point of view, your emotional empath point of view, what do we need to dump? Is it toxic people? Is it toxic things? Is it old ways of thinking? Is it viewpoints? Is it the healing related to the past? Again, this energy coming through is going to help you move forward. Okay, missions and things from the past. Yes, it's because Mercury at the moment is in Aquarius and it's the full moon energy in Aquarius. And we have Venus there. It's like headaches relating to contracts and connections. How do I get my career off the ground? Is this going to balance? Mercury retrograde. Too much coming at me. How do I look at this? Okay. Seeds from the past that were planted. Many of you are meditating upon the value in those things. You're meditating upon, okay, was it worth my time? Why did I pour my energy into it? And I do feel there could be a little bit of emotions like, geez, why did I do that for? But nothing's ever set in stone completely because you may not resonate with that anymore. You may feel you weren't loved or you weren't appreciated. It's a pain body experience. It is going to pass. And it, like I said, this transit's really personal. So if we were to then, sometimes it is productive to talk with one another, but other times it's not because we need to hear ourselves without another person's intuitive perspective. And at a point, we do need to step back, sit with it. And I really spent a lot of time yesterday because the new moon started off at that point. It's like, okay, let's move through this window and see what the current energy is. There was a lot of discussions. There was a lot of meditation and quiet time. And then the day after, for me, I'm here in Australia on the 12th, and we're still moving through that vibration, but just allowing the energy to flow. But there is a shift, and there can be a lot of detachment when it does come to soul connections because it's a personal transit. Masculine energies are going through their Mars integration and facing their shadow about self-esteem, healthy boundaries, you know, getting to a point where they're saying and owning the vibration of who they are and not selling themselves short. And there may have been, it's really a strong energy that's been coming through is people that we have felt we didn't resonate with, for feminines more so. It's like each of us gradually are having this understanding of who resonates and who doesn't. And that Aquarius energy of the tribe mentality will come through very largely, but you won't be in an egoic way angry. It's better to not be. You don't want to recreate new karma. It's about what resonates with you. And in that instance, yes, it is a one-sided exchange because it's like in the Mercury retrograde, we're having our personal perspective on it and what our power is and what we're going to do with that. And the first thing I was hearing this whole week was it takes two to tango, but it wasn't from a sarcastic point of view. It was more, how do I feel about that? How do you feel about that? It's great energy coming through. What is that goal you have in mind? What is that victory? What is that thing that you're wanting? Seeds you planted in the past, yes, tribe energy. What resonates with you? When you do that and you follow your bliss and you follow your truth and just live that vibration, you do attract that, and moving towards it, you will, like the laws of attraction, attract it. I do feel by the full moon in Virgo, this whole transit is going to make a lot more sense, but you might need some downtime. This can be clarity of mind. It can be a judgment. It can be really getting things back in balance. And that's where the shifting and the 3D circumstances are going to start moving. Point blank zero in everyone's lives. It can be this shift. Yes, if you do feel very sluggish and unmotivated, it's to help you move the ego to hear your thoughts. But you will find, nurturing yourself in the weeks coming is going to be important. Pacing yourself, having that sharp, clear mind will come back. And I did mention that I was going to be doing like smoothies and really talking about the chakras that come up. And the one thing that has been coming up very largely has been third eye. Is the fade still working, or has it bloody jammed again? Okay. Yes, do be careful who you tell things to, because there are people around that you may be faced with the circumstance head on this week. And I do feel it can be people maybe in their ego or people in their fair-based frequency. You know, send it love and light, but there could be a head on, so to speak. Okay, feed good. We're just ever so quiet right now. Okay. So this head-on can be tackling that circumstance that's really, it's not good on your side. Yeah, it's Mercury retrograde. It's not fun. I'm like, heck, 3 times a year? Good grief. I'll be upgrading technology soon. You're listening. Okay, so this circumstance, whatever it is like a head-on. It's like, okay, because there's yes, it could be ego, it could be fair-based frequency. Again, we've got, you know, the Leo energy that come through, but, you know, having to deal with these situations, having to deal with what we fight for. But it could be a fight and a viewpoint and standing very firm on it and creating healthy boundaries. And healthy boundaries is I can't do that. If you want to do that, that's fine. I just may not be holding your hand through that process. I respect your choice. I understand. And it's about trusting that process. But you'll find the higher up in your ascension you get, and it's not, you know, you're the best in the world. It's a lot. It's a burden, actually. You're just more conscious of where we have been giving our power away, and it has been to the critical degree affecting. And the funny thing was, it was very, you know, I've mentioned on Facebook when I did the event on Facebook that there's almost a frequency in the air of a memory. And if you can smell the air, it's strange. It's happened to me before, but it's reminding you back to a time when times were sweeter. So, yes, it's like smelling the roses, but it's going back to an old memory, I hope in a dream, you know, something you really had a lot of passion for. That is coming, and it is changing. And this can even be a person, but I do feel circumstances happening on people's sides of the fence and group orientation energy are really shifting. Yeah, but it's bringing that back into your 3D life in a different form. It is. So I had a download the other day and it was weird. It was like, okay, this is really strange. This smell in the air reminds me of owning a house. And it was the most bizarre. It was like, but it was psychic energy, but it was the smell of when I had that vibration and download that it was going to be so. I was smelling the environment and it was like that was the environment. So I was correlating the two energies. So that memory, that sensory, it's taking you back to an energy of what you had before, and it's setting and planting that old seed with more fertile ground. Now, yes, it's going to be hard work, but the things you shift about, the decisions and the work you put in with the group energy, yes, you will all get your star with whatever that is. But it's what would need to go, how you've changed, getting the download and relating to that, and then taking the steps. Now, I will say on the 17th, it can be complicated. And you'll probably find 3 days before, 3 days after, because we have Uranus and Taurus squaring, Saturn and Aquarius, and it's both Uranian energy, sudden change. Could be a head-on, left or right decision. Maybe a circumstance happening directly to you or for you. It doesn't have to be negative, but you still have the power with whatever plays out to always focus on that star. Okay. Now I'm going to go through the zodiacs very briefly. I'll go from air signs at the moment because we're moving through the air sign transit, and I'm going to have a little bit of a chat per zodiac. Libra. Okay. Unfortunately, the transits at the moment have been really sucky, right? Had we been in a different circumstance, we should have really known it because the nodes are in Gemini, lockdown energy, you know, restrictions and things like that. Had that not been there, you would have been having fun. You would have been. You would have been less in hermit mode and more social, more creative. A lot of you, sorry for bouncing the table, a lot of you at the moment, there can be a lot of, what would I say, co-creative energy, but also memories to do with family and childhood and children coming up. But also to do with where to pour your energy into. Where's your bliss? Finding that bliss. Now, there may be a situation relating to family, children, balance, work, love. And it's funny. It's almost like it's going to be, although you don't have 6th house placement there yet, by mid-year you will. So it is very important to create healthy boundaries throughout this year prior to mid-year. Also to pay attention of your health and your well-being and psychology of being everything for everyone due to the fact that you have Virgo in the 12th house. So sometimes chaos pens because we are good at organising. But also you may need more time and things may be super clear to you even before you get to the Virgo moon, that it feels very rational and you're deeply intuitive at that level. So the things in the areas that will change, and it can be very, very suddenly, can be your intimate connections. There's shifts about with those circumstances. It also could be to do with debt, what you feel is taxing in your life, what you want to add to your life, but your finances also are going to increase, and it's major things that you're wanting to have. 8th house is shared resources as well. So if you're in a partnership or point blank zero, your direct foundation, whom you're dealing with, you're wanting to pull that in to bring it more stable, and you're going to attract that like the laws of attraction. But I do feel healthy boundaries as a requirement, not waiting till it gets too hard. It'll be really karmic by mid-year because your energy with your employment, your love life, your children, your romance, and your, the fun things that you do in life can impact you by mid-year. Pay attention to your health between now and mid-year. Make sure you get things checked up. Make sure you keep in balance. Get your rest. Be organized. The nodes in Gemini can take us off path, and that's for all of us collectively. So keep on path and you'll be able to move forward. Aquarius, this for some of you is point blank zero triggering. And, the last few days I'm even moving into the new moon in Aquarius. Okay, it's 1st house placement. It's not fun. But you did have for so very long Capricorn on the 12th, and it was very taxing from a psychic point of view, from a spiritual point of view. It could have felt very stifling that you had to be, people that you directly weren't. So you could potentially be very, very rebellious at the moment, very angry at times. And some of you are actually experiencing a Saturn return and you feel like you're pulled in a million directions. But the self-navigation and the working with that can be very difficult. It is really important to journal right now. For those of you that are Aquarius, it can feel very, very emotional. And you could be changing your mind quite a bit during this time. Now, Taurus hits your 4th house, so there could be disruptions at home, family-related dynamics coming up, emotions relating to that. Some of you may wish to buy a house. And again, it's looking at home stability. But how, if that changes, are you not safe? How, if family changes, are you not safe? Is it conditioning and an old wound, or is it a reality? And are we moving beyond that? So your viewpoint of stability is going to be transforming. It's your innate energy anyway, but you could be actually triggering other people around you with home, accommodation, where you're going to be, how things are moving. What else do I need to tell you? Okay, again, deep intimacy can be coming up, and the things, you're going to have time to meditate by the end of the month about what you think that means. If you're willing to let people in and if that resonates with you, and you could be working at, dealing with the sharing of give and take, foundational energy, I see. But for you personally, it can be very challenging. Gemini. Let's have a look. Okay. Even with the guided meditation I was doing for Gemini, this light is so bright, it's driving me batty. Okay, Gemini. Your viewpoints, you may be finding that you're actually attracting a lot of people with your values and your systems, but that might have been an issue in the past. Some of you may be dealing with a lot of circumstances that are overseas and there can be delays. But some of you may actually wish to move. It's like you may feel you either directly don't resonate with the group. You know, this can be through work, through love. But again, you can also be upskilling, educating. It can be a really great time for that. From a romantic point of view, which I think this is the most hilarious month, we will laugh about this later. We can't right now. It's very personal. At the moment, it's almost like we're posed with decisions and to ask ourselves how we feel about these things. You do have Taurus on the 12th, and your understanding in psychology can be changing. You can be very quickly changing your feelings towards love as well. So what you used to think versus what you will think after this transit will be different, but you do need to psychically protect yourself during this year. So I would strongly advise amethyst and tourmaline due to the fact that you have Taurus on the 12th, and it can be emotionally stifling when these changes come and how it impacts you. So try not to own other people's stuff and try to keep as balanced as possible. Any changes relating to your romance is going to start becoming very positive, but there also could be from a soul clearing a lot of emotions relating to the past that do come up and viewpoints and values, to do with marriage, to do with love and how that was back then and where you stand now. You can at this time also get people from the past coming back, and it may be to have those conversations, to clear those energies through, to reach peace with it. Cancer, for the water signs. Okay, Cancer. The last week might have been very testing for you, and I do feel a lot of you have been very, very private, very much thinking about how you feel towards your own life. Yes, there may have been testing situations where you may have been that Cancerian energy of emotions bubbling, but you also are very strict with yourself. You have a value system as to what you want to show up in a connection with. And it can come across as strict, but it's because you're very, very strict to yourself. Now, you are really, to a point, your soul is craving connections and work and stability and things finally moving forward. I do feel also you will be attracting high vibration connections that are very much on your level, but you could at a soul level also be looking at what it meant to leave those ones behind that didn't resonate and the guilt associated with that. You do have Gemini on the 12th house. So again, Gemini on the 12th can be even speaking your mind. Almost owning other people's emotions like it's your fault if they feel or have misinterpreted and understood you. And again, you need to have this innate freedom, but you also need this stability. There is something psychologically that will be shifting over the next 2 years for you. But right now, the biggest thing is definitely, I would say, your work and your finances are going to increase, but your self-worth energy is going to increase, and you will attract. You'll be very attractive this year. You're going to be attracting people into your life that are on the same page as you. You do need to be very careful about allowing old energies that don't resonate in tribe mentality, because with Saturn being in Aquarius for all of us, we do run the risk of overburdening ourselves and becoming victim to fixing group energies. And you can't do that because you will end up getting off path. You do need to pay attention to this whole year with the North Node in Gemini and try and keep focused on, learning, growing, changing and bringing that with you, but not becoming stagnant where we're giving to everyone too much to a point they're not doing that work themselves. Scorpio, I would strongly feel it'd be a hard week for you. Let me see. You have Again, many things to do with family and tribe coming up. Some of you, yet again, are wanting to buy a home. Some of you are going to become extremely busy. Now, you may find that you're going to have a lot more people coming into your life, and your family can be expanding at this time. I do feel from a home-related dynamic, there might be a bit of testing energies coming through. And again, it's also your daily routine. How are your emotions when you're getting X, Y, and Z done? Is it organized? Are you having to run errands for everyone? And it is that energy does teach you a lot about functionality, but it also can be where we get lost in that, and we need to be careful to create that balance. But it will train you to be very think on the feet. But again, I do see major changes happening. Yes, there could be misunderstandings. It could feel stifling and delayed, but it will shift as the weeks progress, and you can have a lot more flowing energy coming through, once we hit the 21st. But it can be some very light bulb orientated moments happening on the 11th through to, I'd say, the 17th. Expect the unexpected on the 17th. Try to not step on anyone's toes. We may say things that we regret because we have Uranus and Taurus squaring Saturn. And especially, for all of us collectively, be very careful to not be combative with authority, because that can be very karmic in nature, and it could cause a sudden energy when it does come to, restrictions, rules, regulations, contracts. It just would be very karmic in nature, and it could take away all the hard work you've done. That's for all of us. Pisces. Pisces. Yes, because we do have your shadow sign, okay? Your 12th house is Aquarius. Your shadow sign is Virgo. So this full moon in Virgo, do be very careful. Yes, we're talking about the new moon in Aquarius. You may have some new psychological findings. You may have some different viewpoints when it comes to group. You may have a lot of, yes, I did. You may have a lot of, what would the word be? Values changing, viewpoints, your ability to help certain people, how it affects your psychology. And I'm definitely seeing the need for healthy boundaries. That was really coming through. So any health-related dynamics, Pisces, you had at the beginning of the month, due to the fact that we had the full moon in Leo, you may find that, moving forward into the month, the biggest changes is going to be the way you move and communicate. Some of you could get new cars, but definitely pay attention to your driving. You do have the third house there in Taurus, and sudden changes can relate to that. That can be with communication, technology, cars, vehicles, but also in your throat. So make sure you do guided meditation for your throat. You're looking after yourself. You're keeping yourself healthy. And also with Aquarius, you'll find it should ease up, but just pay careful attention to how you're showing up in groups, because they may, may affect you. Healthy boundaries, like try to not take it personal. Your thoughts are very creative and worthy of sharing, but just try to understand the other energy, because it could get a little bit, testing. Okay, Leo, like I mentioned, this month has been super tough for you guys. You do have Aquarius in your 7th house. So connections point blank zero can be a bit testing. With the connection, don't think that because you are addressing emotions from the past that it means you're in doomsday prepper, you're never going to have a great relationship. It's just an emotional transit. Situations can transform, but it's definitely teaching you in the mix. Some of what you thought you had to be not necessarily is true. And sometimes it's something going on the other person's side that needs to be resolved, not necessarily a you problem. Sometimes we can take relationships personal, and sometimes we just don't resonate with them. But you do have really beautiful aspects in your life that are coming through. And it does relate to all things relating to career, the people you mix with. Yes, potentially group energies, siblings. There will be balance when the group is, there will be balance, but it's about coming to it in a different way. At the moment, you will find point blank zero. All of that frequency hitting your 7th house can be causing angst over glory. It will settle down. You may actually find some solutions inside those problems. And you actually may find that you are just ready to make peace with those things and allow things to unfold naturally. But you definitely have great transits this year. when it does come to romance. And, you know, for many of you, you could potentially even get married. The biggest change can be with the work you're doing. So, you know, at the moment you have Sagittarius in your 5th. What would I say about that? Sagittarius is in your 5th house. I kind of find that amusing. I think you guys are the managers of the zodiac. You really should be running your own business. And I'm not a financial advisor or a career advisor, but the way you come up in life is you can be a business manager. This process is going to take you somewhere. Now, it's something called you've done. You've already done something. There's a lot you already know. And it's like some of you could really be moving into business and some of you could be revisiting education. But being that it's the South Node, you're better off to do short courses over long courses. And again, doing things more in group activities. So work relating to groups, work relating to you actually pouring your energy into your hopes and dreams. And sometimes we do have to learn on our feet. It's like, okay, I'm stepping into this. I'm doing the best I can. So lucky we have the nodes in Gemini. We've got Google, we've got YouTube, we've got other platforms we can research, Wikipedia, that we can upgrade ourselves and think on our feet. And I do think through this circumstance, you're going to realize you knew a lot more than what you did, than what you thought you did. But it is beautifully aspected that if you are currently running a business, you will benefit from that. And, you know, you will continue moving through with that situation. Now, your romance will shift. I'll say that. But at the moment, emotions from the past can come up. Aries, shadow sign of Libra. Oof. Your stomach has dropped. Now, when I say that, it's like nervous energy. Nervous energy. What can I say with you? Some of you could be getting really disheartened where you're feeling you don't resonate with your employment or some of the things you were doing. Some of you are really tired. With the tiredness, it's going to sort out, Aries. You will find that that energy, it's going to balance out. If you've been working really hard to make some of these dreams come true and hindrance has come through group energies, all the things you've been doing, this can also be because you do have Taurus on the 2nd. If you have any habits, you may find during this transit, it's really purging it out of you. And you will be looking at those circumstances of what we are consuming, 2nd house, caution with, you know, overeating, habits, emotions, self-esteem, healthy boundaries. This Virgo moon is going to ask you to look at that. So yes, we're talking about the Aquarian moon. You've got that through there with the 11th house. How are those circumstances external to you, in fact, affecting the internal of you? And I think as you shift that and as you move towards that full moon in Virgo, as much as we're trying to manifest from this point, we can't probably for the first few days. But as we move forward away from the new moon in Aquarius and we reach that full moon in Virgo, you will find that you will have a lot more clarity and movement to be able to take direct action. So some of you in that Mercury retrograde effect will have more communication after Mercury retrograde or, you know, moving closer to that Virgo moon because we've understood the download. Sagittarius. Oh, we're almost halfway there. I've got 4 more to do. Okay, I think, no, 3 more. Okay, Sagittarius. Let's have a look at yours. Okay, you have Aquarius in your 3rd house. Be careful of driving. Some of you could be upgrading. A lot of you are changing the way you speak and communicate. Some of you could be going into public speaking. Many of you are learning to articulate your words more effectively. But again, groups. You could be really bridging the gap with people. You could be turning into a real people person of getting each other's experiences. It could be a bit testing at the moment. Do be careful with driving. Do be careful with cross wires. But I also feel the way you're showing up in life is really changing. You could be teaching a lot of people something you went through. Now, health will be very important for you. Overburdening yourself. You did have Capricorn in the 2nd house for quite a while when we had the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn. So emotions, you know, restrictions, the over responsibility maybe was very taxing on your income and your weight. You know, the responsibilities were dumped on you. Now, you may not have got as much as you were worth. You may find in this circumstance, you're going to realize, again, that old analogy, I should have called this video the bloody glass ceiling. The glass ceiling is a figment of our imagination. We need to think outside the box. This is the beautiful age of Aquarius. It's the energy of air, and it's intuitive. It's not 3D. That's all there is. That's glass ceiling issue. No, it's outside the box. Let's come creative and think outside the box. 1st and 7th house is going to teach you Sagittarius. That has never been so. It's been a paradigm we've been in. It's a bit like, you know, the Ferris wheel. Rat going around in a circle, rat in a cage. I'm trying to get up there, but this isn't working. You are doing something differently, and I feel it's shaking your life up, relating to your connections, relating to your love life, but you do need to be careful on the 17th. Look after your health. Don't get triggered if sudden changes happen at work or anything to that degree. If you've been checking things and you're doing the best you can, you should be fine, but expect changes, and you do need to pay attention to your health because we do have Uranus and Taurus there. There can be things that you need to shift about to keep healthy, to be able to deal with the energy this year. You do have Gemini in the 7th, and you're going to learn a lot from your contracts and from your love life, be it you with a person or not. Something in that is changing you of the way you view yourself and the way you view relationships for the rest of your life. Trust that process. The hardest hitting energy will be communication and frustration. Mercury bloody retrograde as well. But you can find a solution to a situation. There can be somebody you're needing to talk to about something. And I feel you might have muted that, and that can be coming up now for a resurrection. Capricorn. Some things you're just outgrowing, okay? You got Scorpio, you got Sagittarius on the 12th. You're outgrowing it. It doesn't resonate. What's your self-worth energy is moving well and truly beyond it. If you don't resonate with anything, you just won't be doing it. It's quite funny. It's almost like going from that strict paradigm of Capricorn. You're shifting into the notion of Aquarius. You're really embodying it. And your whole Aquarius sector, your money, your self-worth energy is coming out like Aquarius. And it's almost like I'm hearing my name is a no, my number's no, you've got to let it go. It's like you don't resonate with that old vibration of who you were. And you're really going to you're going to be a shifter, shaper, mover. Yeah, I'm excited to watch Capricorn this year. Let's see what comes through with their messages. Number 1, your income and your self-worth is increasing. Your group energy is increasing, and the way you do your work is changing too. So do expect changes there. Pertaining to love, I do feel, again, that tension point that was there previously should ease up. But there could be emotions relating to that are coming up at the moment. Your family may not recognize you. Okay, so your family might be like, what? What do you mean? The reason I say that is because you've got Cancer in the 7th house. Now, your sign is Capricorn, your shadow sign is Cancer. So, you know, if all those things you were doing all the time, this rebellious energy is coming out. It's like, look, I just can't tolerate that. Mum, Dad got XYZ to do. And it just doesn't feel. And it feels it will flow, but the correction of that is coming through in the romance house. You're like, look. And the reason I say that is because, look, we did have Cancer and Capricorn nodes there. Now, moving towards this new moon in Aquarius, we were transiting through that house and things to do with connections. Aquarius is tribe. Same thing. It's not you don't love. It's that this Uranus and Taurus and new moon in Aquarius is saying change is inevitable. This needs to shift. I am a human being as well. And it's not you don't love them. It's just something needs to shift. But they're a bit confused. Like, oh, what's wrong? You haven't been like that. We all change. Honestly, we just all do change. It will pass, but you're going to be different. Oh, I can't wait to see you guys this year. Taurus, I feel for yous. You guys are used to having things. You build things. You're rational. I will buy that set of linen because it's going to last me 20 years. You know quality. You know consistency. You know how to get it there. This transit and potentially this moon energy is hitting you quite hard because, number one, you are the connection in Aquarius, and Uranus is in Taurus, which is making you shift. You're the need to keep things consistent, stable, reliable. Uranus in Taurus, however, is like all of that's not real. Yes, from a spiritual point of view, one could say all of us collectively maybe had an ideal that having a fixed belief that having that there meant we were safe, and it actually doesn't. So yes, doesn't mean change means we're unstable. It can mean we're uncomfortable. Unstable, yes, but are there things we can do to help that bounce back? Very 8th house. So for you, let's have a look at your chart. Your career is very highlighted, but the way you show up in the world, the way you are doing things, what you're doing, how people see you, that is really shifting. But the big question is, with what you're doing with your life right now, are you on mission? Do you feel you're doing your life purpose? Do you feel you're living your best vibration? 20 years is going through it at the moment. It's really feel for her, but she is fixed. So, yeah, it won't help anyway because it's happening to her for her. And Taurians this year, look, my love to you, but it's tough. Sometimes we have tunnel vision and we have vibrations, but it will help us. It's for us. And all of us are feeling it. It's not, one zodiac sign. It's all of us feeling it. The Taurus energy, I guess, because we have Black Moon Lilith in Taurus, we're having to face our shadow. Our fear-based frequencies or some of our habits. It's like, sometimes it's victim consciousness. It's they did it. I didn't. And 1st and 7th house tends to show us, yes, but we do have power on our side too. And what can we do about that? Whatever these changes are, it's some of them, yes, are unfair. But Aquarius landing in the 10th is, am I doing the things I should have been doing? And it can be disheartening at first. It can be emotional. Some of us, it's just about reassessing those things, and it's not negative point blank zero. It's just, look, I don't think I'm doing the job I want to do. I don't think people are seeing me the way I really am. Maybe is that something I can change, or is that just not a personal thing and I just need to discard it? But it is very much 10th house, your career, your reputation, looking at the bigger picture of it. Are you doing the emotional connection to circumstances, the emotional contract? Very separately, what else can I say for Taurus? Virgo's landing in the 5th house. This can be relating to romance, children, luck. It can also be, again, family. Emotional upheaval, pain body experiences of some of those hopes and dreams dashed that didn't come true. And what are you going to do about it now? Like, what are those new findings? What's that new path? And also it could be burdens of having to be everything to everyone. And then how do you balance that out to get that balance? Any questions in the house? Thank you for those of you who showed up. I'm going to go get my lunch shortly. Almost dinner. Never mind. Then I've got to get my Truth, Dare or Torture post to go up for the 14th over the weekend on Instagram. Thought I'd have a bit of fun. It's getting very humid all of a sudden. Yeah, I think, look, give it 1 or 2 days after the moon and just chuck a text thinking of you. But it's a very personal transit. We're all going through it emotionally. From a Venus point of view, when we have 99 problems, which is, look at it this way. Those of you on soul paths looking at romance, bloody Valentine's Day is coming. Yes, more than likely a lot of you will get communication, but we really need to know that we are in alignment with, what we've formed as an opinion in our life. And it is a personal thing right now. I shall pull you a card, my doll. How are you doing? So humid. I reckon we're getting storms. You know? Emma, what aren't you letting go of? What's happening? Is it your thought to do with that person, or is it the thought to do with you? There's something in an emotional energy. You either intuitively are tuning into a potential that something's shifting. You can feel it. Okay. Yes, I sent her a text yesterday and sent her my love. And that's about all you can do. But it is upheaval. There's upheaval, okay? But there's something to do with maybe your vibration is feeling that this person can't leave something behind. And it's really, like I said, this transit at the moment with masculine, feminine energies and connections and even out of connections, it's very personal. So we can't, like I did a coaching session the other day, and it was to do with the term sorry. You know, when we've had a betrayal and a connection and things like that, and we have this viewpoint of what something should be. And so in theory, sometimes we don't realize we're creating these obstacles in our own lives, and that can be their side, your side, point blank zero. It's just a learning, really, I've come to an understanding on. And then feeling that somehow that person had to acknowledge the pain they've caused on you. Even if they acknowledge it, if you can't make peace with it, you're going to create different hoops for them to jump through, and nobody's going to do that forever. There is a circumstance on their side of the fence. You may be a little bit afraid that you feel this person can't address it, but you have to, from a pain body experience, look at how you've addressed your fear-based frequency and have faith in that. Yes, they are struggling. You may find their energy. I try to have great patience when I look at videos these days, only because of what my experience has been on my twin flame path with working with energy and being a psychic medium, is that at times when you send love and light, it's, how do I explain it? In a mirroring effect, you will have similar blockages to they will have, and it can be some shape or form, right? When we deal with that, if you tune into it too much, it is almost like they teach you, you need to, how do I put it? You need to disconnect. Lots of people have caused me pain. Most everyone I know, I'm doing my best to move on and start new. But see, that can be, that's good and bad, because it's about addressing it. Can we love somebody if they cause us pain? Yes, we can, because if we actually look at it, they don't know any better. Right? They, in a way, and I had to look at my twin flame path, and I was like, they have their own personal things that have happened previous to them, which is conditioning, experiences, and then it was a projection to you. But while we enable those things, it can be a little bit like somebody's always asking me for something. Oh, God, I've got to go do this. I've got to go do that. The healthy boundary is we did have a part in that. Sometimes facing our shadow at the moment, the question I would always strongly say is ask yourself, are you running? When we remove ourselves, it's good if we sit there and we can actually look at maybe the wounds that come up. But if we feel, gosh, I just got to eradicate every human being from my life, we do that for hermit mode time, but then you realize that that's not the way to change it, is to not own that person's vibration. It is a catch-22, stand up for myself, although I'm... But this is what you've got to think. With those circumstances, unless I'm talking to you personally, I can't really give you kind of examples. What I found was we should never have to convince a person of who we are, because that's standing up for yourself. A healthy boundary would be somebody's been rude to you. You can say that's unacceptable, and I don't speak to you that way. Bloody, bloody, blah. You've said your piece, and if they continue doing it, then you just ignore the behavior. You know, it's like, I'm not interacting with you. I'm not fighting with you. I'd have to have a circumstance to explain it. I live with my partner. Yeah. But that's the thing in soul connections. If this person's with somebody and you're with somebody, that's where nothing moves. Does that make sense? And it doesn't have to be. I mean, you can be in a soul connection and know where they are and have a soul connection and never have to be together. But you've got to see if there are spiritual blockages coming up. Does that make sense? Sarah, Francis, energy towards you. At the moment, I can guarantee you everyone's energy is very personal to them, but we're projecting. So the reason I say that is because of the transit. It's showing us blockages. It is showing us blockages at the moment. So it's the emotions of how we're feeling to do with it without them in the mix, like just your emotion, how you feel. I began awakening a few months ago and seeing in my life a different way. Okay, so Sarah, your energy at the moment, I feel you have the psychic intuition of it, and I do feel there's anxious energy. Do you feel the anxious energy, doll? This frequency, it's like you will know the vibration up and down. Does that make sense? Yeah, that at the moment you're feeling it, so it's frightening you. You need to disconnect from it because you're channeling their energy and it's not at a good vibration right now. Yeah, so you need to breathe in, breathe out. Hi, True Heart, breathe in and just blow it out and tune out of it. I think it was SK that asked me the other day, what do the masculines feel the same for the feminines? The thing is, sometimes it's almost, and I used to ask that question, I was quite perplexed when I heard the question, because I have been there myself and thought, okay, let me get this straight. I've been in love with you for 20-something years. And you mean to say it was like, did you? Is it equal? Like we're weighing hearts on a scale? And the thing is, did we need to hear they didn't so we could reach soul closure and go and do something else? Like they actually had the key to our hearts and they had permission to do that. We gave them permission to do that. Even from a psychic point of view and a twin flame path point of view, it is about us understanding the healthy boundaries, knowing that we do have a choice. Love is love. It's not if you're good and I give you this, you have to give me back. It's just love. There's no rule book. It's love. It's separate. Codependency shows us rules. You can still love a person that's passed over. And we're not getting mad at them and go, well, sometimes we are. Like, where the hell are you? We could really do with you right now. And that can be a love interest. It could be, a parent, whatever. But we still love. So there does feel to be a bit of that going on at the moment where you know what you know with this person, how you feel, where they're at. I feel they're quite stuck, and that's for Sarah. They know that what they're going to have to do is make a very, very hard decision, and that's why you're getting that vibration, but it will shift. Does that make sense? Anyway, I think I got everyone's super chats. Thank you for your kind donations. I appreciate it. Hi, Kelly. How are you? I feel psychically, Sarah, it's to do with, I feel it's that they're feeling like they've got to shift something. I don't feel it's personal to you, but it's what they have to do with their energy. And you know what I mean? So they're stuck. They are stuck, but they know that it's a major decision they have to make. So it's kind of sucky. You know what I mean? All good. So, Susan, what do you mean by that? The beginning of your awakening a few months ago, I see everything in my life as a different way. I don't need to pull a card for it because I'll give you a bit of a psychic download of it. Okay, now when you say you had your awakening, right? You're currently in a connection and you feel something doesn't resonate right now. Now, is it because of a twin or is it because it's two different energies? This is the crazy, horrible thing of the jerky twin flame path because they're two energies. To acknowledge that, you can do that. Does that make sense? But if we shift it onto, but will I be successful with this person? They're two subjects. Because from a soul path point of view and not recreating karma, because it gets really messy in twin flame path, it's almost like we want a surety. Uranus and Taurus isn't giving us that right now. He's like, you need to learn that there's no pyramids. There's no, and it's almost the analogy of, and that's probably why I was saying it, Noah's Ark. We need to get Noah's Ark. We need a surety. We need to get double of everything. What do you think during COVID-19? Everyone's grabbing toilet paper. Get double of everything. Doesn't assure safety. You can't eat it, right? Okay, married for 25 years, recently met your twin. So your twin has actually showed you the mirror of what is unresolved in your marriage. Do you feel in your marriage you could resolve that? Are you at peace that you have done everything that you can inside of that soul connection? Does that make sense? Because this is what twin flame journey does. It's really jerky. So in order to feel you have resolved it, it's almost like we need to, in that soul connection, go, okay, this person has showed me a vibration of something so much more than I felt I could have experienced, which is showing you self-worth energy. It's also showing you value, vibration. And it's not just excitement. I mean, that's trivial stuff. It's not. It's heart-centered energy. You also have a current energy right now. Does your twin currently have a connection? Or are they healing from a previous connection right now? Because the mirror will always come through in your twin flame path. Different people now. Yeah. So do they have a partner? That's okay, Sarah. That's the blockage. Neither one of you are choosing yourself, so it won't happen yet. When we are, and then with Uranus and Taurus coming through, it can really shake things up. It can get really messy. So with masculines at the moment and feminines, we do need to be careful through this year. Sagittarius being there at the moment to do with religion and family, in separations and connections and in like twin flame paths and things like that. If you haven't resolved that energy and you've acknowledged on your side and their side and you're currently both in connections, it creates more drama. And because we've got the South Node in Sagittarius, which is to do with value systems, you are not happy with your partner. They're entertaining you. But neither of you have taken the leap of faith to say, I choose me and then I choose you. And that's where the blockage will come through. You can still be with them, but until you actually end that cycle, what you'll find is after you go through the separation and actually do the soul walk-in, the crazy thing is then you'll have the drama of emotionally coming to terms with the ending of the connection. Because the ending of the connection, we think we've soul healed it, but it's not, because what happens is we pour our energy into the twin flame connection, which is almost like it's holding our hand energetically through that spiritual situation. Then when you get over there, a lot of crap that you didn't resolve or feel that you had comes up about your ex. So it gets messy. It's too late now, but what you'll find is there will be a lot of soul clearing between his girlfriend and your partner. And that will happen once you leave. If you can actually create that space and make a choice. At the moment, the energy of sacral chakra is coming through. Balance your sacral chakra. The blockage on both sides is coming from a viewpoint of, yes, okay, there's passion, but there's also the control that you have on your side of the fence. Does it make sense? So what you would need to do to make peace with it, to give this previous connection the ending it deserves, and what steps you'd need to take away from twin flame, away from partner, for you. And then as you're healing, can you imagine being with your twin and they're crying over their karmic or whoever that person is? It could be a soulmate. You're in a separation. It's never just saying, hey, I've fallen out of love with you. It's so many bloody different levels. It's disgusting. It can be being intimate with another person. It can be walking out the door, addressing that nasty conversation. Sometimes that person can be the most amazing person, but you feel at a soul level it doesn't resonate. You need to also know that if your twin does not choose you, that you're okay with this, because this actually isn't about twin. This is about something going on very personal to you that you feel, and soul connections will always be there. That's the crazy thing with twins. You need to look back in your patterns with your connections of your twin, of the in and out over all those years. What was the patterns? Were there interferences? Were there, okay, one was running, one was chasing? Was it both of you weren't choosing? You were allowing external influences to affect it? Where is the healthy boundary you can create right now to make that happen, and what steps would you need to take? Do you know what I mean? So in a psychic energy inside twin flame union, you can say you're by yourself, and this can be some twin flames where they say, I'm by myself, I've been sitting here all this time and I don't understand why my twin's off with someone. But meanwhile, you're tuning into a pain body experience of a broken down connection that you ended years before. So the karmic is inside your mind that you haven't closed a cycle with. Sometimes it can be with a mother or father. Sometimes it can be to do with a connection inside your life, a pattern that's occurring inside your life, and they're the soul contracts. But keeping the peace is delaying the inevitable. What's the point of keeping the peace if it doesn't resonate? It's delaying and avoiding an ending. So who? Twin runs, or, you know, the conversation with partner runs? Do you mean twin? Because it's actually showing you, if it's twin, it's still, twin's not the issue. We are twin as well. This is what it's trying to show you. The twin is running because what's happening when twin's running is you're running inside. You're avoiding something that needs dealing with. There is an emotion coming up inside of you and you're avoiding it. And the avoidance is they've got a girlfriend, you've got a partner. And can you exist? And if it drops you down to your knees when they leave, facing your abandonment wounds, having your career sorted, having your money sorted, is the reason you haven't left your relationship. Is it due to children? Is it due to stability? Is it due to not rocking the boat? Do you know what I mean? Could it be something that you can go, okay, if I address these things and I make peace that I've done the very best I can, I'm not a bad person, this is just somewhere I am and it's where I am right now, I will survive. I have to acknowledge, there's 4 players in this team at the moment. Your partner, you feel you don't resonate with. At the moment, you're really not resonating with twin either, because this isn't about either. This is about, okay, for me, I have to love myself and say, I don't resonate with my husband. I don't. And now I'm going to give that the funeral it deserves for me, for it, for my future. And I'm going to take the steps to get grounded. And then you're showing your twin you've got the courage to do that. What they do with that's their issue. You will never have to chase the person. Because what you're doing when you're chasing, you're not having faith in yourself. And you'll never have to chase. They've come back to you 26 years. Let it go. Don't mince your words. Say it how it is. I spent too many years doing that in my twin flame path. I'm straight to the point. You can do what you want to do and you can go. You're only going to come back again. That's fine. I focus on my finance. I focus on what is my truth. I do what I need to do to keep my vibration correct. Everything outside of that is outside of my control. If you come back, you come back. If you don't see the value in this, that's fine. And you will trigger each other. I live right on the Leyland grid. Yeah, they are. Well, aren't they isn't it the, what is it? We've got the yellow chakra, in Australia with the ley lines. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll have to love you and leave you. If you do want to have a coaching session, I'll just book a reading and I'll explain some of those things so we can talk candidly. I can tell you my path's been about the same amount of years. It's interesting. It's very 5D. And, if you did a list on your side what the blockages are and be honest to yourself, write an email if you don't want anyone to see. Do that soul work, look at it. You will find the more you chase, the more they run. It's almost like ignoring. When they do that, let them go think. That's fine. You have as much power as they have power. They're not the solution. You're not the solution. But there is a problem, which is these individuals. Once you choose yourselves, and not cause the delay, because you have an attachment to it's got to be perfect. It's got to be fine. Twin flame path doesn't give us that. Not when we have attachment. Choosing what you feel is correct for you. It could be your twin, it could be your partner. Going in and addressing that, whatever that shadow energy is. Solar plexus. Yes, not the sacral chakra. And then, you know, it'll kind of balance out. Yeah. Because it gets technical. It's sometimes, you know, when I explain to clients, sometimes it's like, yes, that's 3D. But sometimes, you know, unless the person has had experience in a twin flame path, I didn't know I was a twin, thank God, for so many years, because I didn't have the attachment to the tag. But when I did, I was like, oh, heck, I just thought I was psychic. You don't have that attachment, and you will find the further into the journey, you won't allow the tag to have an attachment. It'll be a term, spiritual healing, coming into your new self, like the laws of attraction, attracting that back into your life. And it's almost, you will become the very best vibration you can physically be. Yeah. Yes, I know that, Stacey. We're very lucky to have it here. The co-creative energy. The divine mother energy. Okay, beautifuls. Take care. I will talk to you all soon. The special's still up. For those of you that can't afford, you know, readings at the moment, I have put a special up. I will talk to you later. I'll try and come back over the weekend during Valentine's Day, but it'll probably be for coaching and laughs than anything if I can, but it'll be more so towards the evening. And stay tuned for the comedy on Instagram, because we have Pick a Card, Truth, Dare or Torture. I'm going to have to finish those up today and get them ready. I had fun doing them. I found them quite amusing. The torture ones aren't so fun. They're all jokes and love. Love and light, guys. I'll talk to you soon.